If you're a government employee thinking about retiring or resigning, let me ask you this. What happens after you make that decision? Now, one of the most common areas that members very easily often overlook is the ongoing service. Think about it. You're making a decision now that will shape your future, but can you predict everything? What if tax rates change next year? And they will, you agree? What if your family situation shifts, like welcoming a new grandchild or supporting an aging parent? What if your health changes and you need to access more money? Now, all sorts of things could take place at different moments. The truth is, things change. Life happens. And when it does, who can you turn to ensure that you're getting the help that you need? Now, last month, I had a review with a member, Samantha. It's a government employee that had resigned a year ago. And back then, we set up a financial plan and everything seemed to be absolutely perfect. But now Samantha's facing an unexpected expense, and it happened when her husband had passed on. And she said to me, Dhevan, I don't know what I would have done if I couldn't call on you to figure this out. And that's why ongoing service isn't just a nice to have, it is absolutely essential. In today's video, I'm going to be sharing with you why I believe ongoing service is crucial for maintaining financial stability after you retire or resign. I'm also going to be guiding you on the key benefits of working with someone, a specialist, who can adjust your plan according to your life's changes. And I'm going to be discussing with you what questions that you should ask to your financial planner to ensure that you set up your plan for success, not just for today, but for the long haul. Now, if you're serious about taking control of your money and ensuring that you don't run out, this video is especially important for you. Make certain that you stay until the end because the last tip I'll share with you could make the difference between a financial security and financial stress in the years to come. So, the first thing that I want to talk to you about is why is support needed before, during, and after your retirement or resignation process? In fact, let's start to draw that timeline, right? So I'm going to draw different periods here. This period is before, and then you have a period here, which is during your exit. And then you have a period here, which is after. And I'm sharing with you that support is needed at every single stage simply because, again, it doesn't matter which route that you're aiming for, retiring or resigning. Remember, I shared in previous videos, I'm guiding you towards focusing on financial freedom, right? So the route that you take should ideally take you towards, to bring you to that position where you get to financial freedom. Now, why support is needed before? Because before you get to that stage, you would want to make the following decision, right? Which route are you going to take? Are you going to aim to retire? Or are you going to aim to resign? Right? So before you make the decision, you need that type of guidance. Before you make the decision, you also want to have an idea as to what sort of tax planning could be done. You want to have a look at the income options that are available for you. If you have any debts, you want to know that there is a plan in place to ensure that those debts are settled. If it's important for you that you leave a legacy, you want to know that those things can be catered for. You see, all of the elements that you need to have in place, you want to know that your financial planner has put you in a position where you have that guidance in place, right? They have created the plan for you. It is something that is workable and they're paying attention to all of the areas that are important to you, right? Not just one area, not just focusing on the money that you have inside of the pension fund, but looking holistically, every single element so that you are in the best possible position. Then why is support needed during your exit process? Again, whether you're choosing to retire or resign, it can take a lot out of you, you agree? Because there might be some delays with payment. See? There might be some delays from a tax perspective. There might be things that come up that you didn't expect to be part of the plan, right? You might have planned to go for things to head in a certain direction and something comes up which changes the plan. Or you might have some change to your personal situation. And it gets you to think differently. It might then make you to adjust your plan accordingly. So all types of things could come up. And during that period of you exiting, this is where you're going to need to get support from your financial planner or specialist to ensure that you just have somebody to hold your hand, right? Sometimes it's just that. You want to be able to pick up the phone to somebody or a team, someone who's handling your file to say, hey, listen, I'm going through this situation. Is it normal for me to go through this, right? Has anybody else been through this? And what took place? So you want that sort of holding your hand. And this is how I like to do it, right? Because you want to be, for me, it's part of a relationship. It's not just something that we're doing in the beginning and like a once-off transaction. I'm never going to see and hear from you again. I don't like to plan like that, right? I regard it as something critically important because it's a decision that impacts you for the rest of your life. And usually members reaching out to me, they're not just doing it for themselves, they're doing it for their families. So I want to know for myself that I'm putting something in place that is there for themselves, for the member that I'm working with, plus the families. Now, why support is needed afterwards? Again, things can change afterwards, right? You might find that there might be a tax situation. You might find that there might be a way for you to leverage more tax, right? There might be ways for you to invest your money in a better situation. You see, again, at every single interval, you want to know that your plan is engineered, it's customized, it's tailored according to your set of circumstances, right? It needs to be highly personalized, very, very unique to what your situation is. So then I want to introduce you into what's called a service level agreement. And this is what the SLA is. Let's go bring that out. Service level agreement. And well, I don't call it this. I mean, I have a more fancy way when I connect with you. I explain to you what it is, right? The service level agreement is basically something that is just outlining what to expect going forward. What sort of service levels you can expect going forward. Now, I like to have something like this in writing, and I believe that it's critically important to have something like this in writing because then you have peace of mind, right? You might have never heard of this concept before. You might have assumed, hey, listen, I'm going to engage with this person now, and what if they're going to be there for me? What if they're not going to be there for me? So a service level agreement is something that's in writing. It's a commitment on both sides. So you're making a commitment to me on what it is that you are going to bring to the table. Basically, you're committing that you're going to keep me updated if things change. And I'm making a commitment to you that I'm going to be there to support you at each leg of the journey. And if things change, you're going to notify me and I'm going to determine whether we need to adjust your plan accordingly, right? We also are having an agreement in place to say, hey, listen, if it doesn't work out for either one of us, we can notify each other and we can part ways amicably. You see, we don't want to have any friction. So this is what the service level is all about. And then what should be included in your service level agreements would be the following. You want to know when a review is going to take place, right? When are reviews? What's the frequency of the reviews? So how often would you get an update, right? What are going to be the value adds? So you might be focusing on retiring and resigning, but there's a bigger picture to this. You agree? As I'm coaching you on now, we're focusing on financial freedom. So value adds mean beyond retiring, beyond resigning, what are the things that we can offer in addition to that? I'll give you an example. What about things like your will? What about things like medical aid, if it's important for you, right? See, what about things like your family? What happens to them when you're not around? You see, these are the value adds. So you want to make sure your service level agreement includes these areas. Ideally, one time in a year, you want to do what is called an income review. And this is important because we then relook at what happened in the last 12 months from a financial perspective. What happened to you? Did you have enough to live comfortably? Was it okay? Did you break even? Did you need more? Do you need less? So we're having a look at that. And inside of the income review, we then are having a look at, for the next 12 months, what's the income that we need, right? And usually this is not a one meeting session. We might meet 2, 3, 4 times, depending, right? How we adjusting this. You also want to have a look at, very importantly, what's taking place from a tax perspective, you see? So your SLA should include things inside of it that become personalized to your set of circumstances, where you're knowing that you're benefiting from all elements. Now, I want to also make sure that you include things that you feel is missing. And I'm going to tell you, like a silly story, okay? I had a member who reached out to me for assistance, and we put together the SLA. And inside of the SLA, let's say I had 10 things listed inside. And I ticked the box on all 10 things for this member. So whatever needed to be done, it got done for this member. And the member on the income review, when we met, was upset with me. And the reason the member was upset with me was the member said to me, hey, you didn't make any calls to me. Now, even though I have a team and my team is reaching out to the member, we touch base. We've got, inside of our SLA, we've got a number of touch points, right? But the member expected to get calls. And the frequency of the calls was monthly. So this member wanted me to reach out to him every single month. Pick up the phone, make a telephone call. Now, it's not in the SLA. It was never in the SLA to start off with. It was never communicated with me from the beginning that this was a requirement. I basically only got to find out at the end, after the member was already extremely furious. And then we sat down together, we had a discussion about it, and I got to have an understanding as to why this member wanted the frequency of calls. Now, that unpleasantness could have been avoided if the member had reached out to me in the beginning and said, hey, Dhevan, listen, I want to do monthly calls. I want you to call me every single month. Because remember, we both are agreeing on the SLA. So if I've got an SLA with you and we are agreeing that these are the 10 areas, if there's something that you want that's not in there, I do need you to communicate to me. I'm not saying to you that I'm not going to include it. I might include it. I'm not saying to you that I will include it because maybe there might be things we may discuss, right? Maybe it might not be something that's reasonable. So we want to have a look at all those things. But the key point I want you to know is you want to make sure that you bring it out onto the table. And you shouldn't feel uncomfortable about discussing something like that because the plan is focused entirely on you. Now, why must it be flexible? It needs to be flexible because you never know what things could happen, right? Your life situation could change, right? Even if nothing changes for you, we know that the tax laws change, right? When it comes to all these things, you want to know that your service level agreement is flexible. It has some room that allows you to breathe and some space for you to play, right? Because if things change, you then can go back and make adjustments to it. Maybe you have something in the SLA that you don't need. Maybe you don't have something in the SLA, something that you do want. Wasn't important to you in the beginning, but becomes important to you now. And this is why flexibility of it is something that is important. So comment below, let me know, is it making sense? Would you agree that the SLA becomes something that is crucial, especially if you want to ensure that you have good ongoing service and support? Now, if you've not done so, why have you not subscribed to my videos? Press pause, hit the subscribe button so that you're able to get this content as soon as it's produced. And remember to pass these videos on to other government employees and members so that we can empower the community together. I'll catch you in the next video.